Top 10 actors who couldn't handle fame and lost everything. Frances Farmer. Frances Farmer was luminous. Her beauty and talent could have taken her to the heights of stardom, yet she never fit neatly into Hollywood's mold. Farmer was outspoken, unwilling to play the quiet, obedient starlet the studios demanded. Fame grew harsh, tabloid stories swirled, and whispers painted her as difficult. The pressure weighed heavily. Instead of nurturing her brilliance, Hollywood turned its back. Frances's decline was public and painful. The glamour she once embodied was overshadowed by her struggles, leaving her career in ashes. But her name lives on as a symbol of courage and of an artist who dared to fight against a machine that never showed mercy. Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge was trailblazing. Stunning and immensely gifted, she shattered barriers by becoming the first African-American woman nominated for Best Actress at the Academy Awards. That should have been the beginning of legendary stardom. Instead, doors closed in her face. Hollywood, bound to racial prejudice, limited her to stereotypical roles or none at all. The frustration of knowing her ability outshone the small parts she was offered broke her spirit. Her stardom dwindled when it should have soared. She lived caught between glory and rejection, and the cruelty of the system took its toll. Dorothy's fall was not her fault. It was the price of daring to shine in an industry not ready for her greatness. Gail Russell. Gail Russell appeared fragile and mysterious, her huge dark eyes giving her characters a haunting depth. She starred opposite legends like John Wayne, but off-screen, her shyness was overwhelming. Fame, instead of lifting her, terrified her. Social anxiety plagued her, and Hollywood's spotlight only magnified it. She struggled to cope, and the industry, impatient and cold, offered no compassion. Gail withdrew further, slowly losing roles and opportunities. Fame did not enrich her, it consumed her. She gave audiences moments of rare beauty on screen, but privately, it cost her almost everything. Her story remains bittersweet, the tale of a gentle spirit crushed under the weight of stardom's demands. John Gilbert. In the silent film era, John Gilbert was the ideal leading man. Handsome, romantic, adored by millions, he was Hollywood royalty. Then sound arrived. For Gilbert, the transition was brutal. Rumors swirled that his voice didn't match his image, though in truth it was more about studio politics and changing tastes. Once adored, he found himself discarded almost overnight. Fame proved fragile, slipping through his fingers with alarming speed. Gilbert spiraled as his career crumbled, unable to reclaim the throne he had once ruled. The man who had captivated, silent cinema lost almost everything in the arrival of a new age. His downfall shows how quickly Hollywood could turn its back. Barbara Payton. Barbara Payton's rise was like a rocket. She had beauty, charisma, and seemed destined for big things. Studios promoted her heavily, and she starred alongside major leading men. But the glamour life proved impossible for her to manage. Fame tempted her with distractions, scandals, and reckless choices. Offers dried up, and her reputation darkened quickly. For Barbara, there was no safety net. Once the cameras turned away, she was left with heartbreak, betrayal, and ruin. Hollywood can sometimes devour those it once celebrated, and Barbara Payton's collapse remains one of the most tragic examples of talent, lost too early to fame's cruel weight. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift was intense, brilliant, and adored by audiences for his raw performances. But behind his piercing eyes was fragile humanity. Fame made him uneasy. Constant public attention chipped away at his sense of peace. After a devastating car accident, Clift's struggles with health and emotional scars deepened. Hollywood, impatient for perfection, wasn't supportive enough. He remained great on screen, yet inwardly, he wrestled alone. Stardom brought him acclaim, but also magnified every wound. His brilliance was never in doubt, but the weight of fame and personal battles consumed him. Clift's downfall reminds us that even the most radiant stars can flicker under overwhelming pressures. Judy Garland. Judy Garland was the voice of magic, the face of youth, and the spirit of resilience. Yet behind the rainbow lived a young woman, burdened with unbearable pressures. Studio control over her childhood robbed her of peace and health. Fame never let her rest. Garland often put on a dazzling smile for audiences, while battling exhaustion, exploitation, and anxiety. She loved performing, but she was never allowed to truly live free of the machine around her. Money problems, personal struggles, and the burden of being America's sweetheart ultimately caused her to lose almost everything she worked for. Judy remains a legend, but also a tragic symbol of fame's cruelty. Jean Seberg. Jean Seberg's beauty represented a new kind of freshness in cinema, both in Hollywood and in France, where her performances were adored. But her fame brought surveillance, slander, and unrelenting pressure. She became a target, caught between her artistry and the forces of politics and tabloids. The weight became unbearable. Hollywood abandoned her when she needed it most, and her career disintegrated under the pressure of scandal and heartbreak. Jean's story is one of a gifted actress pulled apart by the cruelty of both fame and mistrust. Her brilliance was undeniable, but the glare of the spotlight left her burned, with everything slipping away. Clara Bow. Clara Bow was the brightest flame of the roaring 1920s. Known as the It Girl, she was adored by millions and defined an era. But fame was both a blessing and a trap. Her meteoric rise came with endless gossip, cruel publicity, and exploitation. Clara, raised in hardship, suddenly lived under unforgiving scrutiny she couldn't escape. The transition to sound pictures magnified those pressures. Slowly, the industry put her aside, treating her like yesterday's news. Bow's fame, once larger than life, evaporated almost as quickly as it arrived. She lost nearly everything Hollywood had given her, and yet her fiery spirit lives on as cinema's unforgettable icon of the jazz age. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe dazzled as the ultimate symbol of glamour. She radiated joy, sensuality, and innocence all at once. The world saw her as flawless. Privately, she carried immense burdens: loneliness, insecurities, and the crushing expectations of a global spotlight. Directors scolded her for lateness, critics underestimated her intelligence, and executives reduced her to a mere image. Fame both built her legend and destroyed her peace. She longed to be taken seriously as an actress, yet was trapped in roles that reinforced her blonde bombshell image. Marilyn gave the world magic, but was left with emptiness in return. Her life ended too soon, her fame too heavy to bear. She remains beloved, yet her loss is forever linked to the cruelty of stardom.